Transformative Soul Signals podcast with your hosts, Lynnessa
and Monique. Join us as we share our genuine perspectives, guidance, and experiences.
And as we navigate transformative healing journeys and spirituality. Hello again, beautiful people. Happy to be back sharing this process with you again. My journey of inner healing and self-discovery or enlightenment that you guys have been going with me on. And as you all know, it requires a lot of self-reflection. It requires going within, cutting off the outside world and distractions, media, TV, voices, just being alone with yourself completely. And this journey, like everything else in life, is cyclical or seasonal, which I'm recognizing now more than ever. There are times when you should plant, times when you should reap, times when you should work, time when you should rest, so forth and so on. Everything that exists in nature follows this flow. And these cycles are especially important and helpful when you learn to work with celestial or planetary energies like the moon. And I intentionally decided to have this chat today because depending on where you are in the world, today is June 14th, a strawberry full moon. And the full moon is seen as a time to release. And one of the reasons why this is because the moon represents your deepest emotions, your internal rhythms, or your subconscious. And when the moon is full, those emotions are magnified or brought up to the surface. And this happens with me through my dreams. Like, I'll notice that my dreams get really crazy when the full moon is coming or on the full moon. And then I'll write them down, interpret them, and 9 times out of 10, there's something that I needed to work on or heal or let go of. So the full moon helps with this. The full moon is also seen as a phase when things come to fruition or full circle. And this would be things that you previously set intentions to manifest, or cycles and major life lessons that have come to completion. So this energy is very helpful and powerful if you want to purge or let go of things like pain or things that you need to heal from. And in looking up the best ways to work with the moon and trying to learn more about myself, I stumbled on finding out that the moon phase you're born on plays a major role in how your internal energy and flow is. And I encourage you as well listening to do this because it helps you realize the best way to utilize your own internal energy and follow your own internal rhythms. It's like farmers knowing the best time to plant their seeds, which would be when the ground is most fertile. So it's like knowing the best time when you should take certain actions or do certain things in your life, especially when it comes to energy work like healing, which, as you know, this is what this platform is all about. So knowing this information would help you yield the best results, and it would also keep you from burning yourself out, which I've done so many times. So you can go online. There's calculators where you just plug in your birthday and they tell you what phase the moon was in when you were born. And the one I like to use the most is called Moon Giant, and I can put a link for it in the description. But let me tell you, it really works and it really resonates. I often found myself just like flying by the seat of my pants sometimes, and it's like once I paid closer attention to this and followed my own internal flow, it makes everything go a lot smoother. And it makes sense because when you think about it, the moon's gravitational pull affects Earth's waters, the sea, the ocean, and our bodies are made up of anywhere from 45 to 75% water. So our bodies are also influenced by the moon. So intuitively, I looked mine up and I found out that I was born on a full moon. Yes, I'm a werewolf. And the interesting thing about that is that it doesn't happen that often. Roughly 3.3% of Earth's population was born on a full moon. So, what does that mean for me? Well, I found out that being born on a full moon makes your internal energy and rhythm synced directly to the phases of the moon. Now, moon phases affect everyone differently. So, like I said, look up the phase that you were born under. Go to the website that I mentioned. They also tell you about how different moon phases affect you personally, because it's not going to be the same for everyone. Like someone born on a new moon, their energy would flow differently versus someone born on a full moon or crescent, waning, waxing, so forth, so on. So when I took notice of this and really thought about it, I was like, that makes so much sense. When the moon is waxing or building in momentum, I tend to feel a surge of energy, like I can accomplish anything. I feel so motivated and ambitious, which for me, I know this is a good time to make plans, set intentions or goals, journal, things like that. And when the full moon comes around, I have that optimal energy or power and preparation to get things done. And then on the flip side, when the moon is waning in energy leading up to the new moon, I tend to feel lethargic or like I don't have as much energy. And that's a good time to review what didn't work, to rest, reflect, and rejuvenate until my energy levels come back up. So, that's like a good time for me to take that beach vacation I've been trying to take. I've been trying to take. And another interesting thing about being born on a full moon is because of the moon's direct opposition to the sun, which represents your mind, there tends to be a constant back and forth or a slight lunacy that makes you unpredictable but also exciting, because it's like the sun is your mind and the moon is your heart. And I don't know if you guys remember or if you listened to that episode I did a couple months ago, like about getting out of your head and into your heart. That was what that struggle was about. And I had no idea, but being born under the full moon phase cranks that struggle up to like 1,000. So I had a moment where I was like, aha, I'm not crazy. Well, maybe a little bit crazy. And learning this is helping me to be more self aware, basically, to plan my schedules more effectively so that I can be balanced and more in control of my emotions and my thought patterns. Because sometimes stuff gets a little crazy. And most importantly, it helps me in my healing process, or when I do shadow work and manifesting, knowing the best time to do these different processes is so rewarding. So if you catch this pod right now when I release it, it's the perfect time for you to take advantage of this energy to release some things. And of course, if you hear it at a later time, you can still do the same thing with your next full moon. The energy affects us like 3 days prior and 3 days after the moon. So as long as it's within that span of time, it's effective. And I realized I had a major download on the subject because this full moon is so significant. Like I mentioned before, it's known as the strawberry moon because the moon is going to appear the closest to Earth that it ever has all year. So this energy is going to be heightened, making this the perfect time to release stagnant energy you've been holding on to release emotions around people, situations, and things that aren't healthy for you to hold on. This is the perfect time to let that shit go. And hear me out. We've all gone through terrible and sometimes traumatic experiences. I'm not saying releasing it once under the full moon is going to heal all of that or alleviate that pain fully, but it's certainly a step in the right direction, at least energetically. Because when we refuse to let things go, we hold ourselves back exponentially. And I'll use myself as an example. When I was younger, I had a stepfather that my mom has since divorced. Woohoo. But he was the worst to me, honestly. And at the time, I didn't understand that he was just projecting his own issues. And I was just a casualty in the silent war he had going on within himself. So, of course, as a child, I internalized everything. You know, he was a bully, he was verbally abusive, he made me feel stupid, ugly, lazy, fat, you name it. You know, and these are the things he would say to me on a regular basis. He would berate me whenever I tried to do anything. And I carried this with me for so long. And he and my mom eventually divorced. I think they were only married maybe 3 or 4 years. And I ended up seeing him a few years later. And when I saw him, it was crazy. It was as if he didn't remember anything that happened between us. He acted as if he had amnesia. He was so pleasant. He was complimenting me like crazy, which I later thought about, that could be guilt, but it's not my problem anyway. Saying, you're so smart and this and that. And a part of me just wanted to reject it. I was determined to hold on to that grudge. I was determined to not like him. I was determined to make him pay in a way for how he treated me. And I developed, as a result, this huge chip on my shoulder where I felt inadequate, or I felt that I needed to prove myself to people. And it took a lot of healing. I'm still healing from it, to be honest, to get over that. But the crazy part is, as much as I was hurt by this man, he said what he said, he did what he did, and he moved on with his life. He wasn't that affected at all by how he treated me. Now, I'm sure he was affected spiritually because there's such a thing as karma, but that's another topic for another day. But what I mean is consciously, or at least the way it appeared to me, he moved on, and I still held on to that pain for years into adulthood. And I had a realization once I finally began to release this hurt while working on inner child healing, that me holding on to this was like doing what he did to me every day all over again to myself. Because when we hold on to these kinds of pain, we psychologically, spiritually, and even physically, because the pain, can manifest as ailments in our bodies, hurt ourselves when we hold on to this energy. It continues to hurt us. It's like, think of pain or someone hurting you like being a hot piece of steel or iron that they just stuck into the fire. And now the person who hurt you originally, they stuck this piece of hot iron right in your hand. You had your hand open, they stuck it there, and they burn you. And then they left it there, walked away to move on with their life, get on with their business. But then you, as the person who got hurt, you decide to stand there holding this hot steel in your hand, looking down at it, reminding yourself every day, there's hot steel in my hand. There's hot steel in my hand. Oh my God, there's hot steel in my hand. Not letting go. You're doing more damage to yourself than the person initially did to you. You're also keeping yourself as a victim and allowing that person to have control over your life even once they leave. So, this is why when things happen, you have to let them go. You have to heal the initial pain that you suffered, release the person, realize, yeah, people are assholes. I don't know how else to better say it because we've all been that way to each other. But if we see it from a higher perspective, see that this is just a person who is hurt and they are projecting that hurt and pain onto me, which is causing me to feel hurt, you realize that it's better to release and forgive those people because you don't want to hold on to that pain. You don't want to hurt yourself any more than they've already hurt you. And no, it doesn't excuse what they did. It's not saying that you accept what they did. It's just releasing you from that anchor that the pain has shackled onto you. You know, you feel and acknowledge the pain, you reflect on the experience, you integrate or learn from the lesson that it taught you, and then you let it go. You just let it go. And then eventually something beautiful happens. You start to get to an even higher place or perspective where when things happen, you're more neutral and you say, hey, this really sucks, but I'm grateful that this happened because I can learn something from this. I can make something out of this pain. And that's something that I'm learning and doing now, you know, because I like to paint, I like art, I like graphic design, all things creative. And any artist or any person who is creative will tell you, like, think about whoever your favorite singer is that you can think of, that pain makes for amazing material. You know, it sparks and helps healing in other people too. So that's taking something that was meant to be hurtful and harmful and turning it into something magical or healing. You know, that's transmutation. So even though some crappy stuff happened to you, try to get to a place where you can look at it and be thankful that it happened because it helps shape who you are. And not only that, when we hold on to things like that, it doesn't end when we die. It literally imprints in our DNA. And I'll close with this. And I saw this on a TikTok, this really amazing woman that I follow on TikTok. I can't remember her name. Is it Swiri? I can't remember, but she's really amazing. She does like African history videos and things like that. And she talked about this study they did at the Emory University School of Medicine, where they trained animals to be afraid of the scent of cherry blossoms. They observed that this aversion caused changes in the animal's brain structure and even in their sperm. And as a result, their offspring and their offspring's offspring avoided cherry blossoms. So this makes you really think about what things we've inherited from our ancestors. You know, many of us are the only ones in a generation within our families willing to heal these ancestral traumas and do the healing work. So when we heal and let things go and release that pain, some of our own experience and even some inherited heals and releases it from our DNA, which is crazy. You know, much like handedness or singing or athleticism, other talents, mental health or issues are past, so is trauma, you know? So do your ancestors and your descendants a favor and just let that shit go. And as always, thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in more, you can check out our blog at transformativesoulsignals.com. Goes a little deeper into the discussion. You can also follow us over on IG, Facebook, or TikTok at Transformative Soul Signals for more content or to continue on the conversation. Have a comment or a question you need help with? Well, you can send us a recording or message to info@soulsignalspodcast.com that we may even end up featuring on the show. Till next time, take care.